When cops switch to semi-autos, and today what I have is our Federal Hydrashok Deep. So this 40 Smith & Wesson version here was provided by one of my Patreon members, Edward B, and I decided to pick up a box of 38 Special to compare it to the 40 Smith & Wesson. And the whole thought behind this is, I've done a few tests like this where right around 1990, a lot of police departments switched directly from 38 Special to 40 Smith & Wesson. Even if their revolvers were chambered in 357 Magnum, they were still loaded with 38 Special. So I'm thinking, what if bullet technology continued on the way that it has, and police departments stuck with the revolver all these years? How would it really stack up to modern semi-automatic cartridges? And the 40 Smith & Wesson is still a very popular law enforcement choice. So our 38 Special Plus P is a 130 grain rated at 900 feet per second. And our 40 Smith & Wesson's a 165 grain rated at 1,050 feet per second. I believe the point of ammunition like this is to be kind of in competition with the Hornady Critical Duty. It's got like a harder jacket, and it's meant to always penetrate adequately, which is kind of like what the Critical Duty was designed to do. So I'm going to use my 4-inch model Smith & Wesson 686 to test the 38, and it is a Plus P, versus the 40 Smith & Wesson through our 5-inch barrel M&P here. And by the way, there is no version of the 40 Smith & Wesson in Plus P. I get a lot of flack for that. Well, that's not fair. Well, 40 Smith & Wesson's a modern cartridge. It was already high pressure to begin with. There is no Plus P version of it. So we're going to test this stuff. So I'm going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy I get at the same time. Then I'm going to hit my 10% clear ballistic test here, our 10% clear ballistics. And I'm just going to go into plain clear ballistics, and that's going to tell us what our best potential is of these bullets, of the bullet design, what kind of damage we get, and all of that. And then after that, I'm going to put on 4 layers of denim on the front of this 3 inches of clear ballistics here that represents our pectoral muscle. And after that, I put in a 1/4 inch medium density fiber board to represent hitting ribs or sternum. That's going to be more of our real world simulation to see how it compares, if we're actually going through something hard and going through denim like the real world. And then after that ballistic test, I'm going to shoot up my steel silhouette to see what kind of practical accuracy I can get. So let's get started with this test. I believe both of these are rated through 4-inch barrels, so we'll see what we get with our 38 Special and a 4-inch barrel. I am about 5 yards from the target, 4 yards from the chronograph, rated at 900 feet per second. Let's see how close I get to that. 931, 903, 916, 929, 930, a little bit above rate of velocity, and a very accurate to point of aim round. Now our 40 Smith & Wesson, I believe, is rated through a 4-inch barrel at 1050, so we might see a little bit more in my 5-inch barrel. So let's see what we get with our 40 Smith & Wesson here. 1063, 1074, 1026, 1065, 1022. So that's about rate of velocity, and our 38 was just a hair high. So I would say the rating of the 40, it's a little bit low, but it's all really close enough to their rating through my handguns that are relatively realistic to say, yeah, they rated about right. So let's hit our ballistics gel block with these and see what we get. All right, we're going to do our best potential shot. So just plain clear ballistics. Here's our 38 Special. And let's try our 40 Smith & Wesson. Let's go take a look. All right, so interesting results here. A little bit more damage with our 40 Smith & Wesson, but overall, everything looks pretty good here. Our 38 Special, it penetrated to about 16¼ inches, and it looks like we have good expansion. Our 40 Smith & Wesson went right to 19 inches, and then it sucked back to about 17½ inches. So you could call that slight over penetration, but not really. I'm going to call that pretty good. I'd rather see that than see like 12, 13 inches, because you know, we're getting adequate penetration, and we're just getting really good, but not really over penetration. So both those did really well with that plane test. So let me put on our denim and our MDF and see how they compare in our real world simulation. All right, 38 special through 4 layers of denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, a 1/4 inch MDF. See how 38 does, real world simulation. Let's try a 40 now. All right, same thing, 40 Smith & Wesson. Let's go take a look. All right, so here's our MDF, and we can clearly see here, even through denim, we're getting expansion before it hits, you know, this MDF here. We're getting expansion up here in this first 3 inches, and then blowing right through the MDF like it's nothing. So with that, what we got here with our 38 special, we got a little bit less penetration on both of these, but with our 38 special, we got about 13 inches, and it looks like we got expansion. Got really good damage for what it is. It's a very controlled expansion through different barriers, it looks like. And with our 40 Smith & Wesson, what we got here is about 17 3/4, and again, we can definitely see we have some really good expansion. So this type of ammo, when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing a very well engineered bullet here. This isn't just done with, you know, trial and error. This looks like something they'd had to do on a computer or something, because it is performing pretty much perfectly through plain gel and through barriers. And in the barrier, all that barrier seems to do with our rib simulation was to just kind of slow it down a little bit, which is just common science. You know, it's going through something more there, it's gonna slow down. So it doesn't really look like the denim or the MDF affected the expansion, and this is what it's designed for. You know, they took the Hydrashok, they made the post bigger, and they designed it to get adequate penetration at all times while still getting expansion. I think they did a pretty good job here. I think this beats like critical duty and all of that. So this is looking really good. So let me shoot up my steel and see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these. All right, this ammo is looking really good. So what I want to do here is just fire a few shots from various distances. I want to get as much of me out of the equation as possible, and just try to see what kind of really good accuracy I can get with these, and see how accurate these rounds are from firing slow fire. So 25 yards to start with. Just gonna slow fire with our 38 special, see what we get here. Yeah, those are printing at 25, kind of in the same fashion they were at 5. Right on point of aim. I'm liking that. All right, 40 Smith & Wesson. I'm gonna try to do the same thing here. 25 yards. All right, that first shot was me. I felt myself kind of jerk the trigger down a little bit because I'm transitioning from revolver to auto. But the other 2 shots, just like the 38, they're right point of aim. So this again is looking really good. I'm not really seeing any drifts one way or the other to the left or right. Let me back up a little. All right, I am at my 50-yard marker. So same thing, I'm just gonna slow fire, see what I can do from 50 yards here. 38 special. All right, I'm hitting. Some of the stuff going on might just be me, where I'm pulling it a little bit. Let's try a 40 Smith & Wesson now. All right, so I'm not grouping as tight with that at 50 yards, but I'm still making hits. So let me back it up to 75 yards now. All right, I am at my 75-yard marker. See if I can make any hits with this 38 special. Got one more round to top this off. Keep going. All right, I did notice it starting to kind of group a little bit low, but I mean the grouping looks good for what it is, free-handed at 75 yards. So I aimed a little bit higher. So those are doing pretty well. 40 Smith & Wesson. So I can do with this. Impacting a little bit to the right. Could just be that shot. That was such a good run. 25, 50, 75, and I had to do that. I had to do that. But what I'm seeing with this is really good all-around ammo. This is some of the best ammo I've tested, just all around in full-size guns, because what I'm seeing here, the design is perfect. The design is perfect for our terminal ballistics. It is designed perfect. But also what I'm seeing is it is designed really, really well for accuracy. I'm especially seeing that with the 38 Special. This is one of the most accurate 38 Specials I've ever fired in this 4-inch barrel. Now, I can't say it would do very well in a snub, and I probably wouldn't even want to use it in a snub, because I know this stuff is kind of designed the way Critical Duty is. It's designed to be a full-size gun load. And I am seeing just absolutely great performance with both of these, because we're getting adequate penetration, but not really over penetration. We're getting very excellent accuracy overall. You could tell that they took a lot of time in this load, maybe even more so than a lot of the HST loads. It is an excellent load from what I can tell. So I would highly recommend this stuff. It seems like a really good load. You know, Federal has been putting out some really good ammo lately. You know, they have the HST, and they don't really have it in the 38 anymore. It's supposed to come out in 357 soon, though. They had the Federal Punch, and I tested that recently. Did excellent. The Hydrashok does okay, but it's kind of dated. And this is doing better than the Punch. So overall, this Federal's doing really well lately, and this is no exception. This is an excellent round of ammunition from what I can tell. Excellent overall. So again, thank you to Edward B for supplying that 40 Smith & Wesson ammo to me. And it got me out here to test this along with the 38, and I'm glad I did. It's really good ammo. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.